Welcome to the fourth lesson in the Music for the Aspiring Composer series, an introduction into reading and notating music without the expectation that you've ever played an instrument or read music before. Throughout this series, we'll be covering all of the basic things you need to know in order to start notating your compositions. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at an introduction to the names of the notes. If you look at a piano, you may notice a repeating pattern of white and black notes throughout the keyboard. Let's just worry about the white keys for now. In music, each white key corresponds with a letter of the alphabet. However, instead of moving from A to Z, in music, we only utilize A through G. This makes sense because, as you can see, if you label the white keys with their corresponding note names, you're only able to get to G before the pattern restarts. So how do musicians know what pitch to play at a given moment in time? If you've ever seen sheet music before, you may have seen notes in various vertical patterns in relation to what we call a staff, or a set of 5 lines and 4 spaces. As notes move up the staff, they get higher and higher in pitch, and as they move down the staff, they get lower and lower in pitch. Well, each of these lines corresponds with a different white key name, A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. Pianists usually read a set of 2 staves, known as a grand staff. The top staff is written in what we call treble clef, and the bottom staff is written in what we call bass clef. A clef is just a symbol on the left-hand side of a staff that tells the musician which pitches correspond to which lines and spaces. One way to remember which is T for top and treble, and B for bass and bottom. Another way to remember which is the treble clef has a tail that points upward, and it's the upper clef, and the bass clef has a nose that points downward, and it's the bottom clef. The note directly in between the treble and bass clef is the note 1 line below the treble clef and 1 line above the bass staff. This is known as middle C because it's in the middle of the 2 staves. The space above the C is a D, and the space below it is a B. If you keep going with this, you'll see that each line and space corresponds to a different white key note. From bottom to top, we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. One easy way to remember the treble clef notes is from bottom to top, the spaces spell F, A, C, E, or face. For the lines, just figure out what the space above and below it is and pick the letter in between. So here, if we use face, F-A-C-E, A is the space under our note, and C is the space above our note. And what letter comes between A and C? B. So the name of our note is B. Can you decode the secret message I've written in the staff? Let's take it note by note. What's the first letter? If you said B, you're correct. What about the second letter? If you said A, you're correct. The third to last bar also has a note in the same space, so that must also be an A. What about the third letter? If you said G, you're correct. The next note is also on the same line, so it must also be a G. So is the second to last note of the secret message. What's the final note name? If you said E, you're correct. So it looks like our secret message is baggage. Fun. What about bass clef? Well, the spaces of the bass clef are A, C, E, G. You can remember it by the mnemonic, all cows eat grass. For the lines, similarly to the treble clef, you just figure out the space above and below it, and the line is the note in between. What's this note? Well, let's use the mnemonic all cows eat grass. It's between eat and grass, which means it's between E and G. The letter between E and G is an F, so this note must be an F. Can you decipher the secret message I've written in this staff? What's the first letter? If you said F, you're correct. What's the second note? If you said A, you're correct. What's the third note? If you said C, you're correct. And what's the final note? If you said E, you're correct. It looks like our secret message is face. If you ever forget whether you should use face or all cows eat grass to decipher the names of the notes, just start with middle C and count up or down from there. As you write music, quiz yourself from time to time and see if you can identify the names of the notes you are writing. It may take some time to identify each note at first, but with practice, you'll get faster and faster at it. Not all instruments or voices read music on a grand staff. Most read either treble clef or bass clef. Examples of instruments or voices that read treble clef are the violin, flute, and the soprano voice part. Typically, higher instruments or voices read in treble clef. Examples of instruments or voices that read bass clef are the cello, tuba, and bass voice part. Typically, lower instruments or voices read the bass clef. One other clef you may encounter is alto clef, which is read by the viola. The alto clef wraps around middle C, so in alto clef, the middle C is the middle line. You can just count up or down from there to identify any of the other note names, like we've been doing throughout this video. Anyway, that's it for this lesson. Check out the next lesson in this series, which will discuss the black keys on the piano and how they are notated in the staff.